From Lawrence Joel Coliseum in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, this is TarIllustrated.com. I'm THI staff writer Jacob Turner, and alongside me, as he usually is, THI publisher Andrew Jones. Andrew, another loss for the Tar Heels today, this time to Wake Forest, 74-57 on this very court right here. AJ, I think the first place we have to start is kind of based on what some of the players told us. Carolina didn't come to play today. I mean, not only did the players tell us that, but it's very evident from what we saw from this team pretty much for the whole game, for all 40 minutes. Big game against Duke. The way it all ended, you kind of go into this game thinking this could be kind of that trap game, that lull game where you don't come out fired up. Wake Forest, 3-10 in the conference. Carolina, the game 3-9. I mean, both these teams are not very good. No. And Wake Forest just blitzes them in the first half. It looked like Carolina. I told you during halftime, but I was sitting over there doing photos for us, doing a little video, and just didn't really sound like this team was playing with any energy. Didn't look like they really cared.
No, they weren't.
But I think the biggest thing to take away from tonight is Carolina didn't come to play.
Roy said that too.
Yeah.
So if Roy said it,
that's exactly
the
what
players
happened.
saw it,
Yeah.
it said it, and we saw it,
Yeah.
and everybody in this building saw it.
Yeah. It wasn't
you
hard
watch
to
it on
tell.
TV, saw it,
Yeah,
and
it
if you
wasn't hard
only
to
listen on the radio, you heard about it. No, they didn't have the right energy,
Yeah.
and that's why they lost the game. The bad energy affected every element of the game, as Roy Williams said.
Yep.
And now those were the things I was already writing in the 5 takeaways. But look, guys, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch this game and know what went wrong.
No.
This team was not ready to play.
No, absolutely.
You can say that the Duke game had something to do with it, and I know that Cole Anthony said perhaps that may have been part of it. But these guys, this program has played big game after big game after big game so many times in the past. The culture of the program is to be ready no matter what. The other team that played in the Duke game the other night played last night in a huge game, and they were ready.
Yeah, top 10 matchup.
And my point is that therein lies where this team is right now. Their minds aren't right. We've seen that in late game collapses. We've seen that when they've had to make plays in close games, they haven't done it. Mm-hmm. And then tonight, in a game that, quite frankly, even with this team, even with its record, even with all of its warts and its banged up, its injuries and guys in suits on the sideline, and all that's gone wrong this year, should have come in here and won this game.
Absolutely.
Last week they took Florida State to the wire on the road and had Duke beaten, but just couldn't put them away because their minds aren't there right now to do something like that. So that team would have won tonight, but that team wasn't here tonight.
No, far
they
from
didn't
it.
get off the bus, didn't leave Chapel Hill, and you cannot defend when your mind's not right.
No.
When you run offense, you're not going to cut well. You're not going to post well. You're not going to communicate well.
No,
You're not going to have that extra layer that you need. The great Barry Jacobs told me the other night after the Duke-Carolina game, the thing he loves about that game is there's an extra current of emotion that goes into it. The Tar Heels didn't have any currents of anything.
No,
they had
flat.
a little run in the second half, 29-12.
Yeah.
Part of that was because Wake was begging them to go on a run.
Oh, yeah,
Wake's a
absolutely.
bad team.
Yeah.
And they were horrible in the second half tonight. They were begging the Tar Heels, please go on a run.
That's exactly
help us blow our 26-point lead. And the Tar Heels only partially obliged.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, they cut it to 9 with 2:41 left, something like that. And then Wake closed 8-0 to finish the thing off.
Game over, yeah.
That's
exactly what happened,
That's what happened. No energy, it's not going to work for you. When you go to work every day and you don't have energy one day, you're going to have a bad day at work, bad day at school, bad day at home, bad day playing with your kids, bad time walking your dog. You got to have the right energy. This club wasn't anywhere close to that tonight.
I think one thing that I guess the bad energy kind of led to was bad offensive efficiency. Carolina's offensive efficiency was bad. I know I'll let you blare out some of the stats in a second, but I know one stat that stands out from looking at the box score was 1 for 16 from 3. Christian Keeling was the only one to hit that. I think he was 1 for 4 from the three-point line, so it wasn't like he was great either. But, I mean, AJ, this team, you talk about that bad energy, and it really translated on the offensive side of the ball because, I mean, Carolina, they scored, 57 points? I mean, Winston-Salem against Wake Forest. I mean, that's kind of tells you all you need to know right there about how Carolina played on the offensive side of the ball.
A lot of people that have played basketball before always play a little harder when you get the ball in your hands.
Yeah, for sure.
Or when you're on offense and you have a chance to get the ball in your hands. So even when you have bad energy, you expect it to tick up a little bit on the offensive end. And that wasn't the case for this team. And the post team wasn't good. And let's stop for a second and say kudos to Garrison Brooks for giving it a run.
Yeah, oh my
his
God,
eye is
Lord.
a mess. And then he gets whacked in the face and got
Two
stitches.
stitches, yeah.
Got a couple of stitches in his mouth, so or his upper lip or something like that.
Yeah, it was his lip.
And they had to go to Walker Miller, who played 15 minutes tonight. His high previously was 7 minutes. So the offense, there was no, the cutting was poor, the passing was poor, the recognition was poor. They were not as quick as they needed to be. They were too slow, and as a result, they scored on 33 of 67 possessions for this game, Jacob. In the first half, I can't remember, what was it, 16 on 34, something like that. They had 26 points on 34 possessions. Brutal.
It's bad. It's just flat out bad.
Yeah, this was a terrible offensive performance by this team. Again, they had the 29-12 run. A lot of that was fueled by Christian Keeling, who found his stroke for a while. But then he fouls a 3-point shooter and allows a 4-point play. He gets beat a couple other times. I'm not beating up the kids, but that's exactly what happened. Our job is to talk about what happened. And you know, when you're not scoring, you're not playing well, a lot of times that translates to even less of a performance on the other end for a lot of teams. It's the human nature thing we talk about a lot in these videos, and this team is a walking example of human nature.
Absolutely. That
we saw with the effort, we see it how they close games, and tonight the offensive efficiency was just bad. Cole Anthony, 5 for 19, 7 turnovers. I think he was only minus 11 in the plus minus, which is amazing. Armando Bacot was minus 21. Yeah. They had 6 guys that were minus 10 or more tonight.
Yeah, it's just bad.
It's not a good performance. There's really another way to say it.
I feel like we've had this conversation a few times, but I mean, we have had this conversation a few times. Where does this team go now? We're in the locker room.
They're 10 and 14, and we do a video after every game. So this is the 14th time we've had a semblance of this conversation.
Yeah. You mentioned it right before we started the video, but I mean, a lot of the kids are saying the right things. You know, you asked Christian Keeling, you know, when you keep losing like this in the manner that they're losing some of these games, is it hard to kind of keep coming back to practice and keep preparing and doing all that? I know Andrew Platek had a great interview you can see on our YouTube channel. Check that out if you hadn't. He said, you know, they know they can beat teams. Like, you look at last week, like you mentioned, Florida State, Duke. They're in both of those games. Arguably, I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about it, should have beat Duke if they hit some free throws pretty much. They can compete against some of the best teams in the country. And then they come out and play games like this where they score 57 points against a Wake Forest team that's dead last in the conference, and I guess they flip-flop with Carolina now. But, I mean, AJ, what is this team? Where do they go from here? Because we've had this conversation a lot. Seems like they have some highs, have some lows. They take a couple steps forward, they win a couple games, and they take a couple steps back, losing some games. And now it's, you know, what would you say? Cole Anthony hadn't won a game since he's come back. I think he's won a game since Thanksgiving pretty much. So it's just, where does this team go from here?
The last time they've won a game with Cole Anthony in uniform was the day after Thanksgiving. Yeah. And I need to check the possession score number again. We had several strange numbers that we were getting. In fact, at one time, the score was wrong. And they actually went to the timeout with the score wrong, and they adjusted it. So we'll get that straightened out. Go to the site, TarHeelIllustrated.com, we'll have all that straightened out for you. It'll be in the 5 takeaways. Christian was asked about how difficult it's getting right now. And he just said, look, we've got to just, you know, pull up our bootstraps and go to work every day. And I asked him, you know, how much more difficult is it getting?
It's got to be.
Again, human nature. I know some people say, why do you talk about human nature all the time? Because it is ever present in sports.
Yeah, it's the cool thing about sports, yeah.
And he kind of hesitated and then said the right thing. I think right now it would be understandable if these kids really struggle the next couple of days. Now, they've got a game Saturday home against Virginia. They're 10 and 14. Because they're North Carolina, you still look for a path for something. At this point, you might be thinking NIT or just self-respect. I don't know if it's there.
I don't know either.
There's nothing that I've seen this year that's told me this team is capable of suddenly changing gears and doing something rather considerable the rest of the way. But it's college basketball in 2020. Who the heck knows?
Yeah, absolutely not.
They have some decent parts, but it just never seems like the parts are kind of in sync. And I think the hardest thing for these kids to do right now, I guess they'll have tomorrow off. They come back to practice Thursday. They got to get ready for Virginia's defense. We saw the offensive performance tonight. Now they got to get ready for UVA. That's not exactly going to get them jumping for joy and licking their chops.
There's no hiding in this league. No.
Roy Williams has an enormous task right now, and that's to get these kids ready, not just to play Saturday. Then they got to go to Notre Dame next Monday. Then they got to go to Louisville.
It doesn't get any easier. This was
their
easy.
The only winnable, like the most winnable game that they have left is these guys coming to Chapel Hill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wake comes to Chapel Hill in a few weeks. State comes to Chapel Hill, but State's going to be playing for something significant. I hate this saying. I'm going to preface this by saying I hate this saying, but it is what it is.
Yes, there's nothing else you can really say.
I don't really know what else we could say right now. We got to see how this team prepares and try to find storylines as they evolve over the next few weeks. But right now the storyline is this is not a good basketball team. It's not a confident basketball team. It's not an efficient basketball team. And because of those things that have affected their mindset, Cole Anthony even alluded to the fact that maybe they didn't prepare very well for this. So they're not even preparing well. So the challenge is to prepare well, number one, and then kind of go from there. So that's what Roy's got to deal with right now. I don't envy him. It's a difficult task. It's something he's never faced before in his career. So he's doing stuff right now for the first time in his career. So someday down the road, someone's going to write a really interesting book, or at least get a great one-on-one interview with Roy out of this. And I hope.
It'll be interesting.
I hope I'm there. Because it's going to be really, really interesting to see what his perspective is once all of this ends.
Absolutely. StarIllustrated.com. I've been Jacob Turner. He's been Andrew Jones. Carolina losing here in Winston-Salem to Wake Forest, 74-57. We'll be back this weekend. Carolina taking on Virginia to Smith Center. So it doesn't get any easy for the Tar Heels. I guess when you look at it, this was probably that easy game, that game where you think, well, maybe they can get a win here, but did not happen, to say the least.
This was.
Yeah.
I'm making low points here.
I wish I had got a pan the camera down right now.
My hand is below the other 13. This is the low point, folks. This is it tonight.
Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next this weekend. And be sure to check out TarIllustrated.com and check out the videos we posted today. And be sure to like and share this video if you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.